Rise and shine, everyone, and thanks for spending part of your morning with us on GMC. I'm Dane Wurmlinger.
And I'm Hannah Ferreira.
A Wisconsin Cinnabon employee was fired after she was caught on camera using racial slurs toward a Somalian couple. Near Mont Eagle, we are following a major vehicle fire that's impacting eastbound traffic. Again, as you're coming into Mont Eagle, heading toward Chattanooga, look at the scene of this here. Again, all eastbound traffic there is shut down.
Guys, you will not believe some of this footage. Cars passing by a school bus with its stop sign extended out, and watch, kids crossing the street right after.
The Chattanooga Lookouts say they will help pay an additional $8 million for their new stadium within the South Broad District. Now, we told you last week how the Lookouts and their parent company would not put any cash up front. And News Channel 9's Meg Doyle is joining us live in studio to break down why this race in particular is generating national attention, and not just because of the candidates, but also possible implications on next year's midterm. It seems like at this time, the Atlanta Fire Department crews have been loading people and pets onto rafts, and apparently they've been shuttling them across the way in those flooded areas near the Peachtree Park apartments. Those apartments are located downhill, so that's why a lot of that water is rushing that way. WANF is reporting that cars have been submerged up to the roofs in some cases, and that one woman who was in that apartment complex on the first level said that she was wading through shoulder-deep water in some areas to get out, so very serious there. It looks like crews have made significant progress as the sun is starting to come up there in Detroit. We're seeing less of those large flames that we had seen. At this time, it's unclear what exactly caused this fire. WXYZ is the station here, our ABC affiliate, providing us with this helicopter shot, and Jen Shans is the reporter on scene there. She says that this building was actually the scene of a deadly shooting back on Wednesday. No indication that that is in any way connected to this fire at this time, but it is something to note. And let's take a look right now to our TDOT SmartWay camera. Show you a live view at those slowdowns on 24 at Southmore Road. Again, as you're heading westbound into the Ridge Cut, that's where we're noticing that denser traffic. We had seen that accident near the split, and anytime that happens, you get that ripple effect in areas across the Tennessee Valley. Notice some of those slowdowns. We are a couple of turkeys right now.
Yes.
Bliss wore that yesterday, and I was like, okay, now we got to really do something. Look at
yours
this.
is really elegant.
Look at that. Our annual Coats for Kids drive is still underway. We have been out here for 6 hours so far. There's still plenty of time to go. We're going all the way until 7 p.m. tonight, and so far we have new totals. We have raised over $9,500 monetarily and over 1,500 coats for kids, and the day isn't even over yet. Coleslaw is one of my least favorite foods, but when you add the spice and everything like this, I might actually be excited about this. Should we give this a try? Are we going to do it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. And in the downtown area, you know, it's an urban landscape that gets kind of congested with traffic. So here, this is a personal pod that could take you anywhere around the scenic city on a fancy ribbon way. Obviously, some people would argue that change is good for the city and bringing in additional, ways for people to stay in the city. But what's your argument when it comes to these buildings and preserving the history? A guaranteed maximum price. They're not to go over that. And if the construction does go over that, that CMAR then takes on that added risk and the cost. So again, a bit of an incentivization there to make sure that they stay within the boundaries the district has laid out as they're combining those 3 elementary schools. You mentioned that unanimous vote taken last Wednesday. Leading up to that vote, what were the warning signs that the county commission and your office were flagging as signs that you needed to get involved and help support our local
Well, it was conversation.
This year, Hannah, we saw a lot of waiting for those scholarships. Obviously, more applications than there were available, 20,000 in total. But next year, there's talk of increasing that to 25,000 scholarships, and that is written into the law. So no legislative action is needed to increase that total. But some commissioners, including David Sharp, who we heard from there, really voicing concern that we've often heard from those voucher opponents. If we're having that $50 million in-state revenue, why are we focusing so much on these vouchers or these scholarships instead of looking at local infrastructure projects? Divine creation versus evolution. The debate over what could be taught in Tennessee classrooms played out here in Dayton 100 years ago this month. The small town in Ray County becoming the epicenter of the highly publicized clash during what's become known as America's progressive era.
Welcome to the world's most famous courtroom.
Scopes' trial got worldwide publicity.
In July of 1925, a case played out in this rural Tennessee courtroom over the teaching of, at the time, a controversial subject in schools: evolution, the study which found humans had originated from ape-like ancestors.
Consequently, we're still having many of those arguments today.
Rick Dye is the president of the Ray Heritage Preservation Foundation, an independent group that works to celebrate and honor history in the region.
Why Dayton of all places?
Tom Davis, the vice president of the foundation, summarizing the historic Scopes trial in 3 words:
important, significant, enduring.
The upcoming battle had been facetiously dubbed the Monkey Trial.
In March of 1925, Tennessee became the first state to pass an anti-evolution statute, the Butler Act. It prevented the teaching of any theory that denied the biblical account of creation.
High schools in rural America had only existed for about 20 or 25 years.
The famous case got its legs when the superintendent of a local coal and iron company in Dayton, George Rapelier, hatched a plan to bring publicity to the small city. He noticed an advertisement in the Chattanooga Times from the American Civil Liberties Union looking for a teacher to challenge the Butler Act. A handful of local leaders then sat down with high school teacher John T. Scopes at Robinson's drugstore in Dayton. The group convinced Scopes to incriminate himself and have some of his students testify against him.
The Robinson family gave the Historical Society this table and these chairs from the drugstore, so that was probably sitting there listening to Scopes tell them, I don't remember teaching it, but if you can prove it, I'll do it.
In the basement of the historic Ray County Courthouse, you'll find this museum, prominently displaying the stories of the 2 renowned orators whose influence loomed over the proceedings. William Jennings Bryan of the prosecution argued that science should not dictate moral beliefs. He brought name recognition as a 3-time Democratic Party nominee for the U.S. presidency. And Clarence Darrow for the defense, a well-known lawyer fresh off Chicago's infamous Leopold and Loeb murder case. In the Scopes case, he fought to show the Butler Act was unconstitutional. At one memorable point in the proceedings, Darrow cross-examined Bryan on the lawn of the courthouse in front of onlookers, questioning his arguments in relation to Scripture.
It was Darrow who actually got frustrated because Bryan was doing such a good job of swaying the crowd and deflecting with that humor and not answering those unanswerable questions.
After the closing remarks, Judge Ralston charged the jury.
After 11 days, the jury found John Scopes guilty of teaching evolution. The judge fined Scopes $100, but at the time, a judge could not impose a fine greater than $50. That technicality eventually overturned Scopes' conviction. However, the Butler Act remained in place until 1967. And decades later, parental rights and what is allowed to be taught in classrooms is still debated.
Tennessee just passed a voucher program for school choice. School choice was argued in this room.
We spent, let's say, 75 years letting people tell our story, other people tell our story. In the last 25, 30 years, I think a lot of us have taken the approach, hey, it's our story, we're going to tell it.